Hello, everybody. Let's talk. Okay, so I was on a shopping spree yesterday with my future son-in-law and my daughter, and I realized a few things about our world, our lives, about what this world has come to. And I'm talking about political correctness. I've never really been politically incorrect, per se, because political correctness is nothing I think about one way or the other. I'm not an overt racist or an overt sexist. Or can I tell a racist joke? Sure, I do. Do I tell sexist jokes? Yes. My wife particularly finds them both funny and insulting at the same time. You know, like the dishwasher jokes and stuff like that. Especially since just because I can say these jokes doesn't mean that's how I believe. I believe the joke is funny, right? So political correctness comes along some point in time in my life, and I'm not exactly sure when it was. I just know one day I was hanging with my friends saying the N-word as, you know, N-word please, meaning, you know, well, it had a broad meaning, like disbelief or, you know, brother, how you doing? All kinds of stuff, right? But we would say that all the time, and it was not offensive. We weren't all black. We weren't all white. We weren't all anything. We weren't even all black and white. You know, I had a very mixed crew at the time because I was in the military. We were all green, actually, to be honest. I mean, we were all Army strong. Shout out to the first Cav. Woo! Anyway, we weren't insulting each other by saying it. We weren't offended by others saying it. I had this one guy. His name was Private Lee. Lee being his last name. And Lee and I, we were tight. In fact, Lee, Watson, myself, a few others, we were tight. We were good friends. Santiago, because you know, you get into these situations, you get tight. But PFC Lee, the guys in my group we used to say that he was the whitest black man on the planet. Yeah. He couldn't shoot hoops. He had rhythm for nothing. I mean, he couldn't keep a beat. But I was the other extreme. I was a big Prince fanatic, still am, but big Prince fanatic. I had very good rhythm. I was very. I still couldn't shoot hoops either. I mean, I could play, but I wasn't any better than Lee on that one. But they used to make fun of me for being a black man trapped in a white man's body, and Lee, a white man stuck in a black man's body, or that we were swapped at birth, stuff like that. We didn't find it offensive. Everybody's like, oh, racism. Racism wasn't a thing. We're talking the late 80s. We didn't have racism in the groups that I was in. Granted, it was the Army. Got out of the Army, and moved to a town called Muskegon, Michigan. Just west of Grand Rapids. Technically, I moved to Grand Rapids first, but ended up in Muskegon, Michigan. Now, Muskegon, Michigan is a very beautiful place, by the way. But it is a predominantly black person's city. And I don't want to say people of color because I realize that's probably the PC term that they're using these days, but it was mostly black, not Asian or anything else. So saying people of color might be a little misleading. I just gotten out of the service. I believed all people were equal. I believed men and women were equal. And I got slapped in the face with my first dose of real racism. Because it was a thing. It wasn't a thing where I was at, but it was a thing. Watched a 16-year-old boy get shot by a 17-year-old boy, no less, in front of my house. Wasn't directly in front of my house. He was like across the street and down a little ways. But me, being military trained, I ran to help assess the situation and help this young victim. By the time I had ran the block and a half, well, not even a full block, the boy was already, surrounded by a bunch of my neighbors and stuff. And I said, please let me through. I have first aid training. I want to help. They wouldn't let me through because I was white. I was white. I didn't think of myself as white, but they wouldn't let me through because I was white. Boy ended up dying right there where he fell. This was 1988. A couple days went by and a man pulled up in front of my house there in Muskegon. And he came up to the door and I answered it. Turned out to be the boy's father, and he thanked me for what I tried to do for his son. Not all of us are racist. That was his words. Not all of us are racist. PC is just another form of racism. Another form of how to separate us. Don't let them. Oh, you have to call me Ms. because I'm a feminist. No, you're a woman. Your stance on your opinion on things doesn't change your biological fact. I prefer this or that for a pronoun. No, you're still biologically. I guess what I'm saying is I don't agree with political correctness because that wasn't a thing for Gen X's. Gen Xers didn't worry about what race somebody was. We were too busy being sarcastic to everybody. If you think I'm racist, comment. If you think I'm wrong about PC being a way of splitting us up, comment, like, share my video. Plain and simple fact is the media and these influencers and socializers and all of this have come together to help divide this country. We had almost had racism beaten by the time Barack Obama got into office. Suddenly, 8 years later, everybody's racist again. We had sexism beat, for the most part. No, it wasn't perfect. Nothing is. Racism wasn't totally defeated. Sexism wasn't totally defeated. But it was on the decline until, well, until after 2000. How many of you all remember 9/11? We all stood together after 9/11 as Americans. None of this anti-ICE BS. We were all like, get those terrorists out of our country. Guess what I'm saying is, we got to stop letting mainstream media, letting socializers and influencers determine how we are going to treat each other. Determine how we are going to act. And I'd like to do a little shout out. Countdown's on to going down to my mother's, but so shout out to my mom. Love you. And a shout out to all my children, but at the moment I'm kind of impressed with one of my sons. He's the rest of my children don't know who he is, which one he is, as soon as I start talking about him, but he's very influenced by these influencers and the lies that are being spread on mainstream media and stuff. So he's upset with me, and has been for years, because I voted for Trump. TDS is one of his things. But he was nice enough, actually, to come out of his shell long enough to comment on one of my posts. And I want to thank him for commenting on my post. Nope, it wasn't a very nice comment. No, it wasn't. But see, even if you got something negative to say to me, I appreciate it. We cannot grow as a people if we cannot accept criticism, if we cannot laugh at ourselves, and, of course, if we cannot love one another. That's why I end every one of my videos with love to all. I'll see you tomorrow.